And Democrats running in the reliably, red 8th Congressional District to say rural voters are a part of their strategy in flipping the seat this November.
This includes holding town halls in small communities as a way to engage with independents and conservatives, along with fellow Democrats. In a First Alert update, we asked about the strategy and whether it's having an impact on those attending.
Kicking off what he calls a Democrat in the Lion's Den, Mark Schepler met with voters in Oconto County Wednesday night for a town hall addressing a group that previously hasn't been a priority.
It's simply just this, that the Democratic Party, my party, hasn't been active enough in talking to people in rural Wisconsin.
His campaign is hoping to change that.
I want to hear from farmers in Oconto County. I want to hear about manufacturers. I want to hear from people in the shipbuilding industry in Marinette about what their concerns are. And I think I've got a really good palette of proposals that are going to help everybody, not just progressives and Democrats, but help conservatives and Republicans too.
Besides Oconto, Schepler is also holding town halls in Shawano, Wapaka, Winneconne, and Marinette. Reaction from those attending is somewhat mixed.
It's okay to talk to people that disagree with you. I think that's needed in our country.
Transgender issues, welfare, illegal immigration. Just the wrong answers, as far as I'm concerned.
Meanwhile, the other two Democrats in the race are also holding events. Rick Crossan recently met with veterans in the Green Bay area. And Katrina DeVille is planning to hold town halls in every county across the 8th Congressional. She's also looking to hold a town hall on a gun range, which is part of her plan to engage with conservatives.
The left has been trying to talk to the right for a long time, but we've been waiting for them to come over to us, and they're not going to. So we have to go meet them where they are, and we have to go to the places where they're comfortable.
Democrats will need to make up ground to win in November. They previously lost the 8th Congressional by more than 61,000 votes in 2024.